Yeah, and it's a Grim Patron Warrior Mirror too. UConn is playing those Frothing Berserkers. And Penn State, once again, they have Fireworks in their opening hand. They have an okay opener here, but the cards in this one matter quite a darn bit. You're looking for that big explosive turn with Despite, Grim Patron, and an Inner Rage. To go from 0 power on board to 14 power on board at the same time be able to take out a threat, that's a major deal. And something that Frothing Berserkers and Grim Patrons and the like don't really fight well against. It's a lot of 3/3s.
Yeah, that's very true. And you see this matchup go a couple different ways. There's a couple phases to the game. There's the Grim Patron phase and then the Frothing Berserker phase. Grim Patrons are great up until a certain point, and they just become fodder for Whirlwind effects to make your opponent's Frothing Berserkers stronger.
Yeah.
So if you can get out Grim Patrons earlier, great. But if it's really late in the game, your opponent's drawn a lot of cards, they've got an Emperor Thorsan reduction, going all in with Patrons can be a liability because it can just mean that your opponent's Frothing Berserkers are going to do that much more damage.
And so there's the card that often can be a tiebreaker in this matchup is Harrison Jones.
Whoa, and they both have it.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think Penn State may have the advantage of this match because of that Harrison Jones. Right as I'm about to say it, the card gets drawn for UConn, and that's really one of the most interesting things to see about this event is that these players, when you have 3 working together, you'll come up with some more interesting things to do than if you just have a single guy deciding what he wants to play. And so Harrison Jones, it's not like a huge surprise card in these matchups, but very early on in an event when you don't quite know how other people are going to be tackling it, it's a pretty risky card to play, but they've weighed the options and they've come up with this solution.
Penn State really driving home the fact that they don't want weapons because their Harrison Jones is golden. UConn not quite there yet, but Acolyte of Pain being dropped down. Acolyte of Pain, it's I've seen in this matchup some players, or in this case teams, will decide to execute an Acolyte of Pain in order to deny it more than one draw. Playing it like this on just turn 3 willy-nilly without anything to support it like an Inner Rage is very susceptible to being shut down by weapons.
Yeah, I think what they're really gunning for here is actually to get something like TeSPA on the board so they can activate their Harrison Jones. But this also gives you a lot of information. If you're in Penn State's situation, UConn doesn't have an efficient answer to this. You get a very good glimpse of what the cards in their hand are likely to be. UConn even deliberating over whether or not they want to use this Despite straight away. And Penn State, again, I think this is the kind of play they were looking for. In throwing away the Acolyte of Pain, not really that big of a deal. Both these hands have a lot of card draw involved in them. You're kind of just looking to get to those big turns as quickly as you possibly can. Oftentimes, the first player to have the big swing is the one who's going to win the game.
Yeah, also trying to feel out your opponent's deck. Penn State, they played Patron last game, so UConn knows, but Penn State doesn't know what warrior UConn has. So maybe seeing something like a Bash come out in an Acolyte of Pain might give them a tell that it's Control Warrior, but still not really any indication that they're playing against the Patron here.
Yeah, the Slam, I think, may give away a pretty good amount of information. Penn State seems like there's some keen players that are coming up with the right solutions, understand the limits of their decks and what they have to do. But still, they haven't gotten all the information in the world, and so the next couple of plays may really give it away. Like, obviously, no Mission Inventor at this point. That's really going to be the dead giveaway. But something else to take a look at with this hand is that Emperor Thorsan is available right now. The problem with it is they don't have a lot of tools to couple with it. You're looking for Frothing Berserkers. You're looking for Grim Patrons. They have a couple of utility spells, but they can get a much better Emperor Thorsan than that. Because of that, they're going to be patient, and I love that they've chosen to do so.
Yeah, Whirlwind is great. Getting a 100% reduction on that card, bringing it down to 0 in Warsong Commander, but you're right. You definitely want some of those big boys, those big hitters.
Yeah.
The Patrons, the Frothing Berserkers, so I like it as well.
Again, that's just what this matchup is all about, is the major damage turns, and Emperor Thorsan is the key to unlocking all of that. And just as we mentioned Emperor Thorsan, I mean, you take a look at Penn State's hand, the thing that they're missing from this is a Whirlwind, but they have the Unstable Goal also. They actually have 2 copies of Unstable Goal, so this is, this could very easily be lights out for UConn because of what this Emperor Thorsan is unlocking.
They're looking at lethal opportunities very soon. You pick up a second Frothing Berserker or even a Grim Patron, all of a sudden you start counting damage. In Penn State, they have to be going to that point where they're going to start counting damage in the coming turns.
Yeah, and UConn, they're in a position where they don't really have a fantastic answer to this Emperor Thorsan. They have Battle Rage in their hands, so they can dig for it, but again, outside of Execute, not really too much that can be done about this without expending a lot of resources.
And those are precious resources that they can't really afford to expend if they want a good shot at winning this game, because it's pretty much a race to who can piece together that damage before the others, and having to use pieces like Inner Reach or Whirlwinds, or even just trading in creatures like this is really not how you want to have to go about it.
Yeah, and so they have Emperor Thoros on their own, but again, they're missing a lot of these utility spells. So what this one is more of a nod to is that they know that they have to make something, and they have to make something happen now. So they have a lot of card draw effects. Maybe Penn State doesn't have that great of a hand, and they can use this card draw to get back into the game, put themselves off on a better footing. But we can see Penn State's hand so good right now. Just really all the options on their side of the table.
Yeah, they do need, well, a lot of cycle here, actually. Both Battle Rages at a 1 cost, I believe. That might be a slam. Yeah, that's a slam. Hard to see tucked in the corner there. But definitely still a cycle spell, so you're going to be able to slam, cycle through with the execute as well.
Loot Hoarders in their build as well. I mean, usually the choice that we saw was whether or not you wanted to run Gnomish Inventor, whether or not you wanted to run Loot Hoarder. It was kind of a mana efficiency thing, and so maybe they've split their decision here. But Loot Hoarder is a card we haven't really seen in these builds in quite a while, and so kind of interesting to see that they're favoring that heavy cycle over favoring maybe a utility spell at some point. They just want to dig to the most important card to try to end the game.
Wow, Penn State really being conservative with their execute. You'd think after using the slam, execute seems like it'd be the go-to choice there. Oh wow, they're using the anyway. They traded in the...
Yeah, I think the trade-in here is a nod to what they think UConn can unlock by having those extra minions on board. You know, a lot of times in this matchup, when you have a bunch of 2 health or 2 power and 1 power minions on the board, you end up in a situation where your opponent turns them into liabilities. So it is kind of interesting they played the Armor Smith afterwards, but it's I can see it both ways. Where you want, in one case, you want to trim out those minions to make sure that UConn can't use it in combination with Grim Patrons and really swing the board back around.
It looks like they changed their plan halfway through there.
That could have been a possibility too, but I think they're more considering what the implications of Grim Patron are going to do to this board.
Yeah.
You know, Armor Smith does take 2 swings to take out. It does give you some armor in the meantime. And if UConn overcommits, maybe they can just pull the game out with a couple of whirlwind effects. But they're actually, at Penn State at this point, I think they're looking to end the game because UConn got too much out. But, you know, again, kind of deliberating over everything. Maybe recounting their damage here as well. You can kind of see their faces. He had his hand over his mouth for a second, almost as if he had messed something up. And so maybe they act a little bit too fast on the armor up. You know, I haven't counted the damage quite yet, but it doesn't look like 35 to me.
No, not quite. With 1 Frothing Berserker, maybe 2, I think we could be looking at it. The only thing is that they don't have any way to get Whirlwind effects off the board. With both unstable ghouls, they don't have anything to throw those unstable ghouls into. So
the hand over the mouth also might have been worry of how much damage is potentially unlocked on the other side of the board.
Yeah.
What now?
All right, well, UConn doesn't have that great of a hand, and they are agonizing over this turn.
It's a tough one to be a part of, for sure. I mean, you can see all 3 of them, you know, quietly contemplating what their options are. It's a difficult one to navigate for sure because, again, they're worried about the same thing. If they commit too many 1-power minions or 2-power minions to the board, what does that mean for Grim Patrons on the other side of things? Maybe even just too many minions to power Frothing Berserkers. This is a very delicate situation of the game where you have to be extremely careful.
Yeah, they have a pretty decent opportunity to draw a lot with double Acolyte of Pain, Whirlwind, Battle Rage. They can hold on to their Despite in that case and save it for like a Grim Patron. But again, it looks like they want to be a little bit conservative, not throwing out the second Acolyte of Pain, I guess, to not give additional creatures there for the Whirlwind effect. This still allows them to draw a couple cards.
Yeah, you can tell their major concern right now is not committing too much to the board. And those are the situations that get created when you have these decks that have a lot of burst potential based on how many minions are on the board. It's a dangerous situation for both of them. And so really the advantage in that situation goes to the player who has more cards in their hand.
Yeah. And Penn State, they're looking like they want to set up a kill, but Harrison Jones waiting on the other end.
Yeah. I'm a little interested they chose to go for the Acolyte here, given how much damage they actually have. You know, just a little bit of push could have ended it, but at the same time, if you have enough damage in your hand, you don't need to be swinging at face with these Despites.
Yeah, maybe they see that UConn doesn't have many cards, and Acolyte of Pain is still at 2 health. They still could have gotten another draw to that one, maybe gotten them closer to one of the deadly cards.
Yeah, really what they're looking for.
Using the Harrison.
Yeah, well, really what they're looking for right now is they're looking for that second Frothing Berserker so they can get the big burst. So UConn giving Penn State the Rude Awakening here.
Okay.
And does get the first major threat on board.
I was tricked by the green glow. Yeah, this pretty much seems like it's going to be an automatic Harrison with 9 cards sitting in your opponent's hand and a Despite, and you know that 6 of those cards that are sitting in the hand have been reduced by Emperor Thorsan.
Yeah, they're going to focus a little bit more on card drawing here too. So the Slam will pick up 2 from the Acolyte, and then that Harrison Jones will sweep away that 1 health Acolyte. So once again, they pull those 1 power minions off their side of the board. And this is the concern that both teams have had every single turn since we've reached to 8 mana. Ooh, second Whirlwind gets picked up. But again, missing that other Frothing Berserker. There's not enough minions on the board to really power that single one so far.
Yeah, 1 Frothing Berserker, I mean, you can pump a bunch of Whirlwind effects into that sucker, but eventually he's going to die, so...
You know, he's only got 4 health at the end of the day.
Exactly.
3 Whirlwinds, he can survive that, but the 4th one, that's what really does him in.
That's what really does him in. You need that second one to really get those 30-plus damage combos in.
Frothing Berserker can fight off 3 Stone Tusk Cores.
The 4th, though, that pushes him over the edge.
He gets bigger and bigger with each one, too.
Yep.
Just gobbling them up.
Angrier and angrier.
He's getting that protein.
Maybe
Exactly.
No.
Oh.
Magni's pretty much summed up the thoughts for Penn State.
There's really, like, nothing to do. They can... I don't even know. They can throw away one of the Warsong Commanders, potentially, because they really only need 1. Their game plan seems pretty straightforward
Maybe
at this
Battle
point.
Rage for 0.
Just throw away a card, yeah.
I don't know if you can Battle Rage for 0, actually. I've never even tried.
It's lit up.
So it looks like they're going to commit one of their Warsong Commanders. The first one, it's pretty expendable. You don't really care if it's there or not. So pretty clever use of the cool Taskmaster there, but they are left with a Warsong Commander on the table right now. And UConn, you know, they're still missing just those couple points of damage. I mean, maybe there's enough here with the discounted Warsong Commander.
At some point, you have to just think,
I think this is going to be enough with that Inner Rage, TJ.
that is a lot of damage.
It's a lot of damage.
And he's going to get multiple Grim Patrons. And at some point, if you haven't done the math, you just sort of have to go for it, because the animation times take long enough in this scenario.
Which is kind of a painful thing to think about, but that's definitely true. The animations take a ton of time to get through, and so this is not going to be enough. This is 5 more damage being added on the Frothing Berserker, so he's seeing 10 power plus 6 from the Grim Patrons right now. That's only 16 points of damage, TJ, and I think with this many minions on board, Penn State's going to be able to lock it up.
Yeah. It's still only 1 Frothing Berserker.
Well, the thing is that there's 6 minions sitting on board, and they have 3 Whirlwind effects, so that's 18 points of damage. And I think that they know it. They absolutely have done the math on this one before. This one's done like dinner. It's going to be game 3 over to Penn State. We're going to game number 4. I mean, this is just an absurd amount of damage being poured through onto this Frothing Berserker.
That's 10 creatures. So 3 Whirlwind effects on 10 creatures each. That's 30 damage right there.
You do the math.
You do the math.
Yeah.
11 creatures now. I don't know. They still need to find... I guess.
See, I feel like this is the point where I'd be coaching my Frothing Berserkers. I'm like, stop! Stop! You're causing too much chaos! And they're like, well, a fight! Count me in!
Yeah, and each Inner Rage gives them an extra point of damage as well.
Yeah, just so much. And you can see why you had to move in your UConn's position. The animations take a ton of time.
Well, I'll be right back.
I'm just going to go grab a drink real quick and...
Yeah, and UConn's just sitting here like, oh, geez. They're not even saying anything. They're like,
well, they know
what's
what's happened at this point. Yeah, they're like, is there a chance this is one-off? No, not a chance whatsoever.
I think it's off.
Do you really?
Yeah. I think that was 33 damage.
Oh, my goodness. Wow, this actually was damage off. I am extremely surprised by that. Wow. That wasn't enough.
3 damage off.
TJ, I've never seen that happen before. Wow, Penn State. I'm gonna have to go back. I'd have to go back and look at that turn. I mean, it felt for sure.
Oh, punch him! Whoa!
Wow.